Hi, it's Suzanne, and this week's makeover is taking a very country pine buffet that is a customer piece. She wanted me to change it using darker paint, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to start by removing the hardware, and I'm going to apply Dixie Belle Boss to prime the piece and give it a great base layer to put under my black caviar chalk mineral paint. So let's go. Before doing anything, I gave the piece a quick clean and scuff sanded it just to get anything off, residue that I needed to get off before I applied the wood putty. So the wood filler has been applied. We're not doing the country look, so I filled in where the planks met and the divots that have been put into the wood. It's not going to be a perfectly smooth finish, but I think it will improve and make it not quite so rustic or distressed. Even though the finish coat will be black on this piece, I decided to still use a primer because I used so much wood filler. This way the wood filler is getting coated in the primer and it gives a nice base coat for the black coat to adhere to. After I applied the first coat of the primer, I saw all the imperfections of the wood filler and decided to take it outside and sand it back again and apply more wood filler just to get the surface a little more smooth. I then went ahead and applied a second coat of primer over the once again wood-filled and sanded piece. Now this is where it might get a little confusing with this video. I started the project by using chalk mineral paint and the color is caviar and it looked great, so when I waxed it, it just looked splotchy. I don't know if it's because the black is such a deep hue. I don't know if it was because I had added the primer underneath and the wood filler, but honestly, it didn't look great. This is when I was applying the wax over the chalk mineral paint, and you can definitely see here how splotchy it looks. And even when I buffed it, it still had that splotchy look to it. So I went ahead and let that cure and painted right over it. The piece has already been waxed and it's cured, and I'm going straight over it with the silk mineral paint. I've seen other videos of painters that say you have to sand off the wax finish, I don't know, use mineral spirits and whatever. You don't. Just let it cure and then paint right over it. I've never had any issue. I've been painting furniture for over 10 years. I've never had any issue painting over wax. Now I'm talking about wax that is completely dry and cure, and I didn't put a super thick coat on either. If you try to paint over wax that's not dried or too thick, then obviously, yeah, you're gonna have a problem. But if it's cured and smooth, the paint should adhere very nicely. You can paint over it using either chalk paint or this silk mineral paint is great. It goes over smoothly. And this paint is giving it a little bit of a different look. It's a little sharper looking than the duller chalk paint. And I just think that this piece needed that because it's already so rustic that it just needed a little bit more oomph. Nothing wrong with the chalk mineral paint on the right piece. I thought this was going to be the right piece, but I was wrong. So I'm just getting it in to all the little nooks and crannies. And you can see it's sticking, it's adhering, there's no issue. All of the effort that I took on this piece was well worth it. You'll see at the end the finished pictures, and I think it looks fantastic. And I made the right decision with choosing a different line of paint for the finish, and it all worked out in the end. Well, all of the wood filler and sanding was completely worth it because the end result is gorgeous. It's nice and smooth. You can still see the natural grain of the wood, and it is not at all splotchy. I added both new and old hardware. The top drawer hardware is actually from Home Depot, and these beautiful little pulls are vintage from my stash. I also added a touch of gilding wax in the color copper on the drawer corners. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.